Filipino and myself had been together for several years already at Transparency International when we decided to fund CiFAR. And I think the three of us connected in a very powerful way in our team. We had different expertises, but we had in common that passion for social justice and for making sure that asset recovery was not just something that people would talk about and theorize around, but actually something that crystallized in changes.
So back when we started CiFAR, there was often very limited space for civil society to engage on asset recovery. Negotiations for asset return were often closed door between governments, and civil society didn't have the opportunity or often the capacity to also engage on asset return and asset recovery processes. So we really felt there was a need to support civil society action, and to create these spaces for civil society engagement on asset recovery.
We started seeing the potential for asset recovery. We also started hearing about that potential from other people and NGOs that we work with. The potential as a tool for justice, a tool to compensate victims, but also as a tool to give basic services to citizens that had seen those basic services taken away from them. So when we founded CiFAR, the idea was to answer those questions. One, how can citizens be informed about what happened with the money that was stolen and taken away from them? And two, how can citizens be involved in decisions on how recovered assets should be used?
I mean, the question of why we decided to start CiFAR was also a difficult one for us. We were not convinced that we were the best people to start an NGO. None of us had ever obviously done this before. We hadn't been in this field for also a very long time. I mean, years, but not decades. But at the same time, we really felt it would be important for somebody to be supporting civil society to work on asset recovery, both supporting civil society organizations, but also really advocating for civil society's role in asset recovery. And we came to the conclusion that if we didn't start something, then maybe nobody ever would. And so that's how CiFAR came about.
Founding CiFAR was a natural response to the moment that we were living back in 2015, 2016. This is the moment after the Arab Springs, when some of those governments have been ousted. Western countries are trying to freeze the assets, even starting asset return processes. And we saw an opportunity, we saw a gap that needed to be filled, and that's why we created CiFAR. We wanted to connect those dots to make sure that asset recovery was a transparent but also an empowering process, right? Because at the very end, what we wanted is making sure that civil society was participating in the process and making sure that that money was going to be returned to the actual owners, which is the people in those countries.
So I think one of the things that I am mostly happy to see at CiFAR following our work in the last 10 years is the fact that civil society is more and more recognized by governments, by international organizations, by experts as a key actor in asset recovery. You can see that in many ways. You can see that when you speak with them, you can see that in their declarations. You can see a lot of more memorandums of understanding between different countries that have a role for civil society, and also mention the importance and mechanisms for transparency. And that's really great to see, because it was one of our highest priorities when we started CiFAR.
When I think about CiFAR in these 10 years and all the work that we've done since we first started in a small bar in Berlin to now, right, seeing CiFAR in panels all over the world and being a leader, or leading the asset recovery work, I think the biggest highlight for me would be to see the impact that the leadership development and the capacity building that we've done throughout this decade has had. Every time a journalist is able to investigate a corruption case and that transforms into actual policy, or some money that was stolen being returned, and that money is being invested into social programs, I think that's the biggest highlight for me, when our work crystallizes in improving the quality of life of the people.
There are really a lot of things I would really like to highlight. I mean, I think one thing that we've really been great at over the years has been putting out really forward-thinking research. We've gone into topics which have been only talked about and really produced detailed research about what does this mean. For example, reconciliation agreements or returning through third parties such as the UN or the World Bank. Research on these topics, especially from a civil society perspective, hadn't been done before. And what we've done through producing research like this has been to take the debate forward, to really get organizations, both in civil society and governments and international organizations and beyond, thinking about what does it mean to do returns in a different kind of way, what are the pitfalls and what are some of the challenges, what are some of the opportunities that these kind of returns offer. And so I think we've really led the debate on many of these topics.
On one side, you see many more activists and NGOs being put at risk, many laws being passed on curtailing the freedom of NGOs. And on the other side, you have a diversion from the successes and achievements of the asset recovery and anti-corruption agenda towards defense and security. And thirdly, you have also a difficult development assistance framework with more and more donors decreasing their support.
So I think clearly the biggest challenge we're facing at the moment is growing geopolitical instability and a movement away almost from support for anti-corruption. When it comes to asset recovery, which is already a difficult topic, one that involves often high-level public officials, this becomes ever more challenging the less political buy-in we have from countries who are involved in the asset return process.
We are in a narrative shaping moment, and I think that's both a challenge and an opportunity for CiFAR. Right now, people are fed up. People don't have the life that they want to have. This is our moment to make sure that we talk to these people and we channel that anger into action, into something that they want to fight for. A more transparent, a more open society where public money is not being stolen, where that money is actually being used to improve the quality of life of all of us, is something that we can all agree. Finding those values and connecting those values to the problem and the solution, so people can take action and can be actors of a world that they want to be part of.